Okay, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, fishing accomplices, good morning and welcome back to Fishin. So we are in the final stretches of August right now. It is August 19th, and we're going to try and make it happen in the Western Sound, which is something I've tried to do quite a few times this summer and been pretty unsuccessful. Don't get me wrong, I've caught fish, but this has definitely been a tougher season for bottom fishing out by where I live, at least the days I've gone out. Surprisingly, striped bass has been kind of decent, but finding fluke for me has been a challenge, even porgies to be honest. But I haven't fished in the kayak and saltwater for at least a good close to 2 weeks now, and we're gonna try and see what's going on around here since we've been gone upstate for quite some time. So we're definitely going to try and fish probably on the shallower side. We've got peak tide right now, and really the moving tide we'll be fishing is outgoing. Last time I was here, just before I went upstate, there was definitely a lot of bait moving through. I saw some snappers, lots of what looked like spearing or something along those lines, and I did get into some small fluke. Didn't make a video just because it wasn't anything too impressive, but that was certainly encouraging considering what I had been seeing here for the other parts of the summer. So let's see if we can find something a little bigger, or just anything we can take home for dinner. And if that does happen, you know it, folks, we'll get some fishing accomplished. Okay, as we make our way out to the spot, we'll just go with a very simple catch-all presentation. We'll fish this 4-inch pink shine gulp grub, and we're gonna fish it just directly on a jig, nothing fancy. If there's anything around that wants to bite, they will go for this. At least that's my thoughts. Probably get some porgy attention, which I'm not opposed to today. Let's do a better job than that. But yeah, just jig this along the bottom. We're gonna start in probably like, I don't know, 12 to 15 feet of water, and we'll see where that takes us. Lots of bait rising over here, and it's not deep, so there could be something good under them. See what kind of life we can shake down. Got some good structure here. Don't think we're in much of a drift. Yeah, we're not moving at all. No surprise. Ooh, that might be a fluke. Yep. All right, well, that's a good sign. Not the right size, but right species. Well, we found the bait, and we got a small fluke. I don't expect there to be a lot of big fish here right now, but there could be one potential keeper hanging around here. So just cast around a little with this slack tide, and got some spots that I think could work out a little better, but I do think they're gonna be better fished once that tide starts moving. But we'll check this out in the meantime. A lot of little porgies. Tide is slack, so we're gonna try a little shallower until things start to pick up again for outgoing. A lot of bait in shallow, so let's see if there's any fish hanging around some structure and bait. See if we can get a little bit of a cast action going. Ooh, what do we got here? Oh, dang. That was a porgy. Wasn't a fluke, I know that, unless he was fouled. Oh yeah, that's a good fluke. That's a good fluke. Good for what I've been getting here. That could be a keeper. Oh man, that could be a keeper. Probably not, but biggest one I've gotten over here in a while. I hope it's not a July keeper, that's all I'm saying. I don't think he's even a July keeper. He might be a 2023 keeper. One thing we did while we were upstate was order a new ruler because I thought I lost my last one, but apparently the old one was just buried in the back of my truck somewhere in the trunk. Yeah, he's almost 18. Pretty. All right, closest fluke I've gotten in the Western Sound for quite some time. There's an 18-inch here. If there's an 18-incher here, there certainly could be a 19 and hopefully 19.5-incher. But yeah, really shallow, 16 feet of water under all this bait, hanging close to structure. I'm just gonna hit this stuff until we get some tide again. I think that's my best bet. Can play it with by something small. Tell you what, an 18-incher back in the day would have been really impressive. You know, back when the size limit was 14 inches. Porgy bites. Got him. Fluke. Small fluke, but fluke nonetheless. Okay. All right, I'm here for it. Another shorty. Certainly is a decent pattern. You know, we've got bait, we've got structure, so those two things together should equate to more fish. Question is, can we find a keeper? I have not kept the fluke in, gosh, probably about a month. Like I said, if there's an 18-incher here, there must be the chance of like a 19.5. I mean, I've gotten really nice fish around here before, just not this season. That was instant, whatever this is. Spunky little porgy. Lucky for you're not big enough. There was an era when you would have been a keeper for someone, but not in 2024. That's a nice porgy, I think. Let's see. No, it's not. I think this one's fouled. Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna try one more run through this. So many of these fish are just small porgies that are struggling to take the hook. Even if they're larger porgies, like their small mouths just really struggle with those you know, larger jig heads for fluke. So we're gonna try at the mini Mackinaw shad and just see how we do. Could catch a fluke in this, certainly, but I want to get an idea of how this will work for these porgies. Mini Mackinaw with some Procure. Let's see if we have some lighter tackle fun. See if this improves our hookup. What is this? Better porgy for sure. Is it a porgy? The big porgy. Oh, the fluke. Nice one. Damn. He didn't even fight like a fluke. I don't think it was a keeper, but good sign. All right, just dropped a decent-ish fluke. Thought he was gonna be a porgy, hitting on that mini Mackinaw shad. All right, let's try this again. Not bad. Not bad. Get him back quick. There we go. That's a fluke. Another short fluke. I think one of the advantages of fishing this particular lure is the porgies aren't as dialed into it. They're much more reluctant to hit it. The fluke, however, seem to be all for it, so let's try a little longer. I do want to try deep while we still have some tide, but there certainly are fluke here, so let's keep going. Sure do burn through a lot of plastic when porgies are around. Alright, so we were finding some fluke shallow, and I'm not ruling out the possibility of going back into shallows to pick up fluke, but I want to try a little deeper while we have some fairly decent moving tide. At least I assume we have some. I do think this spot could potentially hold some nice fluke with the amount of bait that's around. It's not terribly deep, but just a lot deeper than we have in fishing. This particular area isn't that deep. It's probably like 25 to 40 feet, depending on which part of this structure I fish, but I do think a good, decent fluke could be here, amongst other things, so it's worth a shot while we have the opportunity. All right, let's try a little deeper. I don't think there'll be necessarily as much action over here, particularly with the porgies, though I could be wrong. But I do think I have a better shot at a quality fish here, so let's see what we can do. Like a sea robin, whatever. They're a little easier on the gulp, so I'm okay with it. Just hoping it's not a swarm down there. There we go. Sea robin. I think it's a sea robin. Big sea robin. Big bird. That might have been a fluke, which really sucks. Oh, I just dropped a nice fish. Thought it was a robin, but as I was lifting him up, he started to feel more and more like a potential fluke, which is a bummer. Felt good. That's 100% a fluke. Not a big one, though. Of course, we get you. We lost the last one, but whatever, good sign. Ooh, yeah. That's a good one. That's a better one, at least. It's 100% a fluke. Nah, but good sign. Doing better. All right, well, that last drift we got 2 fluke and 1 lost fish that also was probably a fluke, so not terrible for how I've been doing in the Western Sound. Let's take another run of that structure. Different trajectory, but same general idea. See if we can replicate those results at some level. That's a fluke. Not a great fluke, but fluke nonetheless. Not bad. I mean, that's like 17 inches. Did not fight at all. one more shot here, but this time with the mini Mac. This should potentially cut a lot of the porgies out of the equation, and since this is a bit different and a bit more matching the hatch, maybe we'll get a bit more attention from Fluke. It seemed like that was the case when we were fishing this shallow, so it's worth a shot. At least one drift. Seems like the action's kind of tapered off here. We did get a little bit of a later start with the tide right here, but I reckon there's probably a few more Fluke hanging around this. Oh yeah, that's a good fish. It's a Fluke, I think. Ain't big enough, but good to know. All right, that last drift actually went fairly well. And we haven't really explored this half of the structure, so it'd be foolish not to try after getting that one Fluke pretty quickly and a few good hits afterwards. So right back down we go. Yeah, so this was a pretty short session in the grand scheme of things. Maybe about 3 hours of fishing, which isn't that much when you fish as much as I can during the summer. And honestly, I've fished the Western Sound a fair amount since July, and it has been a tough summer. I have really struggled to find any real constant Fluke action. Only in like the last 2 or 3 weeks have I really started to see some bait move in to the areas that I constantly frequent, and only now am I really starting to see any kind of like constant Fluke bite, though obviously, as you can see, a lot of the fish are on the smaller side. I do think there could be some keepers in here, but I think it's definitely going to entail, a lot of time, really hitting some of the more promising spots and, wading through a lot of smaller fish. But I am optimistic, things can turn around, hopefully the last month of the season. But until then, yeah, it has been a tough season on the Western Sound. But I figured I'd throw this out there because I haven't posted a saltwater kayaking video in a while. So here it is. Hopefully the next one will be a bit more exciting with some better fish. But in the meantime, catch you later. Goodbye from fishing.